Today, we journey back to ancient Rome, not to its glorious zenith, but to a dark period when state-sanctioned murder became law. This unleashed a wave of terror, claiming thousands of lives, often betrayed by those closest to them. Imagine Rome transformed. No longer the orderly republic, but a place where citizens are dragged from their homes in daylight and executed. This wasn't random chaos. These victims were on a list. At the heart of the city, the Forum, once a hub of news, now displayed only one thing: a public notice bearing names. If your name appeared, anyone could kill you and claim a staggering bounty of 10,000 denarii, equivalent to a soldier's lifetime wages. Worse, protecting a proscribed person meant your own name was added. Neighbor turned on neighbor. Friend denounced friend. Families fractured, torn between protecting loved ones or surrendering them for wealth. Trust vanished. Rumors swirled, names added for descent, lineage, or simply possessing wealth. Safety was an illusion. How did Rome descend into this nightmare? Rewind a few months. Enter Lucius Cornelius Sulla Felix. After winning Rome's first major civil war, he marched on the city itself in 82 BC and declared himself dictator. Victorious, yet vulnerable, Sulla faced two crises. Rome's treasury was bankrupted by 5 years of war, and influential enemies within the Senate still opposed him. His solution? A chillingly efficient plan to eliminate rivals and seize riches: the proscriptions. The process was brutal. Daily, Sulla posted lists with 2 decrees. First, kill anyone named and claim the reward. Second, protect a named person and join the list. Overnight, Rome's violent underclass operated openly, rewarded instead of punished. Yet, professional killers faced a problem: they didn't know their targets. Who knew them best? Friends and family. So, informants emerged, trading locations and descriptions for a cut of the blood money. The city plunged into a vortex of paranoia, desperation, and greed. Fear poisoned relationships. Would your friend turn you in tomorrow? Families faced agonizing choices: protect a listed relative and risk death, or betray them to survive. Old vendettas were settled by getting rivals proscribed. Romans later named this horror Sulla's reign of terror. But who filled these lists? Sources suggest nearly 5,000 died. While prominent enemies like Senator Publius Laetorius, executed 82 BC, likely beheaded, were targets, records show only about 40 senators perished, less than 2% of the total. Why? Sulla's primary enemies fled Rome as the proscriptions began. Over a third of the Senate vanished. This solved Sulla's political problem but left his coffers empty. Fleeing elites took their wealth. Seizing a few dozen senatorial estates wasn't enough. So, Sulla pivoted. The wealthy became targets. This was no longer political necessity. It was systematic plunder. Innocent people died solely for their riches. Killers and the state grew obscenely wealthy. The terror lasted roughly a year. By 81 BC, Sulla stopped adding names. Rich and unchallenged, he retired in 79 BC, dying in 78 BC, likely from liver failure due to chronic alcoholism. But the proscriptions weren't finished. Within 40 years they returned, colder and more calculated. To understand why, we need the context of the next civil wars. After Sulla, the Senate regained power. But Senator Gaius Julius Caesar's conquest of Gaul, France, made him immensely wealthy and powerful. The Senate grew wary. Caesar grew ambitious. Disagreements escalated until 49 BC, when Caesar crossed the Rubicon River with his legions, invading Italy. The Senate, led by General Pompey Magnus, fled to Greece, sparking the Second Major Civil War. After 4 years, Caesar crushed Pompey at Pharsalus, 48 BC. Pompey fled and was murdered. Caesar returned to Rome as dictator for life. His reign was brief. On the Ides of March, 44 BC, Senators Marcus Junius Brutus and Gaius Cassius Longinus led a conspiracy of about 60 senators, stabbing Caesar 23 times in the Senate. Instead of restoring peace, Caesar's murder ignited a third civil war. Factions splintered. Brutus and Cassius sought to restore the Senate's supremacy. Senator Marcus Tullius Cicero advocated for peace and constitutional rule. Caesar's loyal lieutenant, Mark Antony, vied for power. And Caesar's adopted heir, Gaius Octavian, inherited his name, fortune, and legions. Chaos reigned as these factions clashed. Recognizing mutual benefit, Octavian, Antony, and Marcus Aemilius Lepidus formed the Second Triumvirate in 43 BC, a power-sharing pact to defeat Brutus and Cassius. They faced Sulla's old dilemmas: powerful enemies and empty treasuries. Their solution? Renewed proscriptions. For Romans who remembered Sulla's terror, the horror returned. But this time was different. The triumvirs knew their alliance was temporary. Each brought personal lists to the table. These proscriptions were strategic moves in a deadly game for Rome's future, each triumvir aiming to eliminate the other's allies while protecting their own. Negotiations deadlocked. No list satisfied all three. The impasse led to horrific bargaining. Lives became bargaining chips. Cicero's fate epitomized this. His powerful Philippic speeches had savaged Antony, who demanded his death. But Cicero was Octavian's mentor and protector. The solution? A trade. Antony sacrificed his uncle, Lepidus his brother, and Octavian surrendered Cicero. On December 7, 43 BC, Cicero was murdered, his hands nailed to the Senate door as Antony's grisly revenge. Cicero was one of approximately 2,000 proscribed. While many were targeted for wealth, most were political. Brutus and Cassius were listed but died later at the Battle of Philippi, 42 BC. The bounty remained astronomical, 10,000 denarii per kill. Kill just 10, and you were set for life. This unleashed another frenzy. Streets filled with headless corpses for identification, scavengers feasted. Desperate measures emerged. Slaves swapped clothes with masters, sacrificing themselves. One boy endured torture rather than reveal his hidden father. The father surrendered to save his son. Chaos worsened as the triumvirs undermined each other, names added secretly, killers rewarded by one triumvir only to be executed by another whose ally they'd slain. Rules vanished. Amidst the horror, Roman women played a crucial, often heroic role. Enjoying significant legal and financial autonomy, many risked everything to protect proscribed husbands, fathers, and sons. Senator Quintus credited his survival entirely to his wife, Toria, who used her network, resources, even melting her jewelry, and cunning to hide him and thwart pursuers. Sadly, most lacked such protectors. Few proscribed survived long. The proscriptions ended around 42 BC as the triumvirate defeated Brutus and Cassius at Philippi. Romans breathed a sigh of relief, hoping the Third Civil War's end meant peace. The proscriptions had shattered opposition. By 41 BC, exactly 40 years after Sulla retired, stability seemed possible. But peace was fleeting. Octavian and Antony soon clashed in a final conflict. Octavian emerged victorious at Actium in 31 BC, defeating Antony and Cleopatra. Rome's bloody civil wars finally ended. Octavian, now Augustus Caesar, transformed the shattered republic into an empire. This began the Pax Romana, centuries of relative peace. Yet, the memory of the proscriptions, under Sulla and the Triumvirate, endured as Rome's most brutal and chaotic era, a time when the state turned citizen against citizen in a ruthless scramble for power and gold. What do you think? Were the proscriptions a devastating but necessary evil to achieve stability, or simply a tool for murder and theft on an epic scale? Share your thoughts below. Until next time, stay safe, and watch those lists.